Hey, what's up guys? It's Rob here from Rides by Cam. Our custom car building tip for today. We're going to show you how we linish up our welds ready for paint. Today's custom car building world, more people want exposed metal in their builds, so we don't have the luxury of hiding weld and covering up panels like we used to. So today's welding techniques and our linishing is a lot more important than what it used to be. So today we're going to show you how we linish up our welds and get it ready for the minimal filler work. Obviously safety first, we've got gloves, we've got our masks, we've got our earplugs and we've got our safety glasses, which are the key ingredients to be starting to use any of these tools. So the first part of our linishing process on this particular weld would be the 3M belt sander, and in this case I would choose a 60 grit Cubitron II belt, and what I tend to use is this guide here that you can see at the bottom of the belt sander. It helps you keep things a lot squarer than what you would if you were using the tip. So in this weld in particular, I would choose to use the base of this so that I can keep my weld nice and square so I don't grind through it and I get it ready for my filler work. If your welds are all nice and consistent and all sitting at the same height, you're all good. But if they're not and you have one little weld that may be a little bit higher, what you want to do is you want to knock that down to the other weld's heights first, because what you ultimately want to do with this tool is you want to make sure that you're linishing everything down evenly, because you don't want to have a rut in one spot or a high spot in another. You want to make your filler work minimal so that your steel is perfect just before that you put your filler work on. Once we actually start grinding this weld down, what we would do is we would keep it on the same angle as the piece of steel that you see here that we're actually trying to make it flush and level with, so that we can achieve that this piece of steel looks like it hasn't even been welded to begin with. If you're not careful when you are linishing down, these belts do chew into steel quite easy. I mean, that's their job after all. So if you get this on the wrong angle, you're not concentrating on what you're doing, you actually take your whole weld out and have to start again. So you really need to take care and take your time, and slow is the best and less pressure, just so you can keep a good eye on the steel as you're linishing it down to the right height that you require for your filler work. I stick with the 60 grit on the Cubitron II belts. It bites into the steel enough to grind you down. Like if you don't need to take it back as far, then the 80 grit in the Cubitron II belts are really good to use as well. Once you've linished up your steel, I always keep it just that little bit higher than what the actual panel that you're trying to achieve the height to. And then I take over with the pistol grip so I can blend everything in and feather all the edges back out and try and pretty much disappear so you can't even see where we've welded in any area. We usually go up to an 80 grit on the Cubitron II, and you really want to do exactly the same thing that you're doing with the belt sander. You need to keep things even. You don't want to be staying in one spot for any amount of time. You need to keep the whole surface area, everything has to be sanded evenly. Like to keep the two hands on it so you can control the tool really well and you can keep the angle perfect, because if you keep changing the angle of everything, it's going to give you an uneven surface and it's going to make your filler work more. So now that the linishing's done and your pistol grip sanding's done, you're pretty much ready for filler or for paint, depending on what your process might be next.